Good afternoon, Vernon Vikings. Here we are. My name is Karen Davino, Superintendent of Schools. I am with Dr. Anderson, Principal of Vernon Township High School, and our special guest, Michael Cheng, High School Senior. We are going to talk to him in just a few minutes, but two important things. We are outside, therefore we can take our masks off. We are socially distanced from each other. It's nice to get a little fresh air and a mask break, and this will certainly be under 20 minutes, but we are really excited to have Michael. And pardon the flagpole. If any of you have been to Vernon Township High School, you know it is one of the windiest places in our town, and we've got the flagpole kind of clanging here. But there's a really important reason that we are sitting here on these beautiful benches. So without any further ado, we are really excited to unveil the Eagle Scout project of Michael Cheng. So Michael, why don't you talk to us a little bit about how you decided to create benches for your Eagle Scout project?
Well, I did a lot of talking with my Scoutmasters and Dr. Anderson, and we decided that benches would be really nice because right now there's not that much seating outside, especially during the pandemic. So people can, especially if they're waiting inside for a ride, they can come outside and there's benches here rather than just in the lobby. In addition to that, we thought that it would look really nice for the decor besides just the seating arrangements. So you can come out here and sit if you're waiting for the buses, and it'll look really nice in some arrangements.
It is beautiful. Dr. Anderson, what do you think about the benches?
I think they're wonderful. I think this is a gathering place after school very often for athletes. Mrs. Sabia was just out here. She's our photography teacher, and she was thanking Michael for having the benches out here because she often comes out with her classes. So as Michael mentioned, there are a lot of opportunities now to be outside because of COVID. So this is really a lovely addition to the high school. We're greatly appreciative.
And we really think this is something that's going to stay. One of the things we're starting to talk about now is what remains after COVID, right? And some of the outdoor space is something that I think will stay in many locations. So the benches are perfect. They're going to be a gathering place for years to come. You'll see the plaques on the benches that say Eagle Scout Project, Michael Cheng, with his troop number 910 in Vernon, New Jersey. So for all the students who come here after Michael, since he is graduating this year, they'll know that it was his contribution to leave these beautiful benches for our students and, of course, for our faculty and anybody who gathers here. So while we're talking to Mr. Cheng, we're so excited to also announce him as this year's Valedictorian, which is a very special honor but well-deserved. Michael, how does that make you feel being first in your class?
It makes me feel proud. I put a lot. It comes with a lot of hard work.
Of course.
Because I understand that I'm not the most naturally talented individual, but I do work hard. There are people in my class that I realize are very naturally talented, but I worked hard to achieve this. And even so, it's not as much as I realize that it's not as much as a intelligence thing as it is a hard work thing, and that's the part I'm proud of.
Wow.
So.
What a special young man you are. Thank you so much for sharing that. And for our folks at home, it's quite unique to find a smart, hardworking young man who's also honoring his classmates. So thank you so much for sharing in such a humble way the pride that you take in this achievement. You're going to Amherst in the fall. I know you're super excited about that, right? So tell me why Amherst, and tell our audience a little bit about your major.
Okay. So I chose Amherst because it's a small school, and I was really looking for that in my school selection because it allows you to kind of work closer to your teachers and get more education off that. In addition, it's located in more of a college town, which I like, as opposed to a city. I like more quiet areas, but I like the city, but quiet areas are nice because it lets me relax and such. In terms of my major, I'm going into neuroscience because I'm really curious about what makes us, work and how we think of certain things and like what unites us all kind of in our biology. So that's really interesting to me.
That's exciting. And tell us a little bit about the open curriculum they have at Amherst. It's a little unique, right?
So in Amherst, I believe over the course of your 4 years there, you're only required to take one class, and that's a writing class. But other than that, you can kind of just decide whichever classes you want. There's no real requirements.
So the benefit, of course, is for somebody like you who's really interested in neuroscience and how the brain works and the connections that we all have, you can dabble in some other things too, right?
Yeah.
And you've certainly done a lot of dabbling while you've been here at the high school, right? You've been involved in TSA, which is engineering. You and your team, I think, won first place in the state this year. You had some tremendous opportunities to do some problem solving with TSA. You're also a member of HOSA, right, which is our health occupation student advisory group, right?
Yes.
And then talk to us just a little bit maybe about your experiences here at the high school, and whether it was in class or after school, and what led you to seek out neuroscience and your future.
Okay. Well, throughout my experience at the high school, like you said, I've done a lot of dabbling.
You have, good for you.
And because that kind of ties into my major of neuroscience, because I like to think of it as you have math, you have history, you have English, but they all kind of tie into like one kind of thought process, one kind of problem solving, and we just kind of manifest our own passions in those different subjects, but it's rooted a lot of the times in like, you know, our what's the word? Environment and how we're brought up. So I want to look into how that, you know, plays into everything, and that's what neuroscience is. And especially with the dabbling part, I do want to learn a lot about a lot of things. Like I learned, I went into engineering and biology as my two most chosen ones this year at the high school. When I go into college, probably not engineering, just because it's a very hard subject to just dabble in. But
because neuroscience isn't hard to dabble in at all, right?
well, I'll go gung ho on neuroscience.
I knew
not
you
just
would.
a dabble.
I knew you would.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
I do think that everything kind of ties into what I'm choosing to major in.
And also, in addition to all the things you've accomplished here, you've been really, I think you've volunteered with the Glenwood Pochuck Ambulance Corps, is that correct? Is that the group that you've been with? Yeah, some volunteers in there as well. I think that's wonderful. And you know what, I think you also mentioned that you had, how about maybe some final thoughts on your high school faculty experiences that you've had with teachers? How's that influenced your choice of career and or your ability to have a good work ethic?
The teachers at this school, a lot of them are amazing. Some of the best experiences I've had in my life have been with teachers of these classes.
It's wonderful.
Like, to name a few, you have Miss Foca, she always made biology really fun. Mr. Bruno, who like really taught me a lot about engineering. Going into high school, I knew barely anything about engineering, so that really helped there. And you have all the wonderful math teachers, Mr. Freifelder, Mr. Getz, Mr. Trevento, and then Mr. Legaitis, Mr. Rayford. If I could go on for years. Mr. Berg, and they each teach you like different things besides their subject. They teach you their own philosophy towards teaching, and I feel like that helps a lot because it lets students figure out what works for them based on what teachers they succeed the most in.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, Dr. Anderson, any words you'd like to share about Michael's accomplishments? I know you must be incredibly proud.
We are very, very, very proud of Michael, and I think his most wonderful characteristic is that he is so humble about what he does, and he's very respectful of his parents, and and he always asks us if he can just ask his parents first if we ask him to do something, and that's unusual for a high school student. So we respect that. We're very, very proud of Michael. He's remained virtual for most of the year this year because that worked for him and for his family, but it is nice to see him here at the school this afternoon.
So thank you so much. We're so glad that the folks at home got to see a sneak peek of these beautiful benches that Michael did through his Eagle Scout project, to hear about the wonderful things that await Michael on the next path in his academic journey as he leaves Vernon Township High School and heads off to Amherst. And for those of you at home, I always say this: if you've got a younger child, think about the opportunities they will have when they get here to Vernon Township High School. Really outstanding teachers, great opportunities in and out of the classroom. We can't wait for your little ones to come join us up here at the high school. So congratulations once again. We're super proud of you.